Hey there, we're Talia and Ophira Edut, identical twins and astrologers. Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, where we bring the stars down to Earth.
Okay, so if you feel like you're kind of slipping into a little bit of a fear spiral, or everything feels a little more liquid than solid right now, there's a reason why. Because this Monday, March 11th, the fourth planet pulls into Pisces for the week, the sign of fantasy, illusion, dreams, the esoteric realm between worlds and planes and dimensions. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're not Delulu, as the kids say. It might just be because Venus, the planet of love and beauty and harmony and our people-pleasing social interactions, is joining a brigade in the sign of the fish. So we already have the Sun, Saturn, and Neptune there, and now Venus. Now that is quite a bizarre mix. So Venus and the Sun, yeah, those go together fine. They're the personal planets. Definitely going to make everyone feel a little bit like Rumi or Rupi. The poets, you might be speaking in stanzas or haikus. Pisces is a sign of poetry, or just really having these amazing ideas that you want to share with people. But then you add Saturn and Neptune to the equation, who are together in Pisces and have been since March 7th and will be all the way until February of 2026, March 7th, 2023. I'm sorry. So it's been a year. Saturn is the bad cop that, will also save our necks, save us from disaster. And Saturn in Pisces is quite interesting. It's making the magical converge with the mundane. And Saturn and Neptune together in Pisces is kind of doubling down on that. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, the planet of fantasy and dreams. So a lot of the intangible things that Pisces deals with are becoming more, real by the minute. And that's, again, depending on where you stand, could be a good thing or a bad thing. So Venus coming in is going to, if you haven't been feeling romantic very much this year, if you haven't been, you know, really just able to get yourself in that mindset. I mean, it's hard. There's genocides, wars. Trump is going to be the candidate along with Biden, from the looks of it, which we did predict. There's actually a lot of predictions from our 2024 book coming through, and I'm going to talk about that. By the way, this is Tali this week. Me and Ophi are going to be teaming up again. She's been traveling. She's been in Barcelona, if you've been listening, and we're actually meeting up in LA. We're doing a fun little assignment for Elle magazine, who we've been writing for as astrologers now for 15 years. Crazy. So it's a very exciting one that we'll be able to talk about soon enough, but that's one of the fun parts of this job. In between writing for hours on end, we get to do some glamorous things here and there. So we'll be making time to do some recording together. And but right now, you got me, the 4 minutes older twin, and I am going to go back to what I was talking about, Venus and Pisces, and how, Venus in Pisces is like, it's very happy there. It's a great place for Venus to be, because Venus just naturally wants to have this boundless sense of love, and Pisces really just wants to melt into everything it can. And so what, if anything, you may just need to be careful not to just float away on a cloud. And Saturn will probably help with that. So we might be grateful that Saturn's in Pisces, because you're not going to get much support from the Sun, from Neptune. No, not at all. They're not. They're all about, egging Venus on to just, like, if you feel like taking a break from thinking about heavy things, it's okay to give yourself a moment there, or maybe just find a better way. I mean, we need to stay aware right now. There are a lot of intense things happening in the skies. And on Sunday, March 17th, the Sun and Neptune are making their annual conjunction that happens once a year. And it's been happening in Pisces since Neptune moved into Pisces way back in 2011. And so what's interesting, Neptune's going to be moving on to Aries pretty soon. In 2026, Saturn and Neptune will be in Aries together. That's going to be a totally different vibe where there's going to, I don't know. I'm not even going to get into that one now because Aries is much more, authoritarian, but also trailblazing. And hey, we got to deal with it now. And we have a couple more years to kind of deal with the dream state before something happens that just totally radically changes. I mean, it's not a surprise, right? Like we can't keep going the way we are, but we're trying to find an imagineer. That's a word for Saturn and Neptune, imagineering. We're trying to imagineer a way forward as humans where resources can be shared more broadly, where there's equity, where we don't have to downgrade, but our sense of joy and peace and fulfillment, if we're privileged and lucky enough to have it, but that it becomes something that is, more accessible across the globe. And at least that's what my American self can say, being, fortunate to have grown up in a environment that is relatively safe, which is a privilege more and more these days. And, from the age of Aquarius perspective, should be an inalienable right. And I say alien, and the aliens might have to help us with that. So what I want to just say, though, is if you are kind of spiraling into fear and what if, I want to remind everyone, and this is something that we talked about in our 2024 horoscope book. So if you don't have yours, go to astrostyle.com and grab it, or go to our Instagram at AstroTwins and follow us there. And make sure you get at least a digital copy of the book. We not only predicted what's happening for every sign this year, but we also do our annual trend report. And one of the things that we wanted to remind you about is that every time there's a dragon year, which was 2000, Y2K, 2012, the Mayan calendar year, and now 2024, there's always some apocalyptic fear. And fortunately, it never really comes to pass. So it does feel kind of apocalyptic right now. We also predicted that Trump and Biden would probably be the candidates at the end of the election, but that there would be some third party candidates stepping forward. Marianne Williamson has re-entered the race. And here's something interesting astrologically. Biden, Trump, and Marianne Williamson, because you just can't call her Williamson. It just doesn't work for her. She is Marianne Williamson. They all were born with full moons in their chart. Trump is a Gemini with a Sagittarius moon. Marianne is Williamson is a Cancer with a Capricorn moon. And Biden is a Scorpio with a Taurus moon. Those are in their natal charts. So when the sun and moon are opposite each other in a birth chart, that is a full moon phase that you're born in. And that is a personality that wants to be seen, that is meant to be in the public eye, that is meant to be a leader. So they all have that. even though they're coming from, which is interesting, we have Trump representing the mutable signs, which are the shoot from the hip, kind of, mercurial ones. We have Biden with the fixed opposition there. The fixed signs are kind of the, traditional, do it by the books. And then we have Marianne Williamson having the cardinal Cancer Capricorn. And those are the three modalities. So they're all covered. The Cancer Capricorn are the cardinals are the trailblazers, the leaders, the ones, they're not disruptors in the way of like creating chaos, but they're the ones who show us a new way forward. So, you know, I'm not endorsing anyone in this astro jam. I have my own personal opinions, but that's not what this podcast is about. I will just say that each one is playing a role in the story of showing us like what is ahead and what are different, that there are different paths that we can go. Uncommitted the new, we did say that there would be third party candidates coming, and that we also predicted in the book. So yeah, uncommitted, sorry, Michigan voters are voting uncommitted. We're from Michigan ourselves. Is uncommitted going to be the new third party candidate? There's a possibility of that. So with all this Pisces energy, nothing will feel very solid. Pisces can make us paranoid. Pisces can make us like really, it can also allow us to stretch our minds and perceive possibilities that we didn't formerly allow ourselves to, even let in or encompass in any way. So, it's okay to be a little more elastic, but also just, when the Sun and Neptune are together on Sunday, March 17th, it's like driving through fog. If you think about Neptune as the fog and the sun being the headlights, it's like, how it is when you turn on your headlights when you're driving in fog, you can only see 10 feet in front of you, if that. So that's kind of what this week is going to be like. It's a little myopic. We also said in the book, there's a lot of fear and going on right now about the economy. And one of the, in our trend forecast, page 9, we said the economy remains unstable for the first half of the year. In money-minded Taurus, just reading, Jupiter and Uranus have had a hand in destabilizing the economy, but also reshaping it. So Jupiter and Uranus have been together in Taurus, the sign that rules money, since May 16th of 2023, and they're there together. They're actually making an exact connection at 21 degrees 49 minutes of Taurus on April 20th. So that is a big deal. But as interest rates continue to soar and impact the markets, play it safe Taurus will favor investments like gold, silver, and bonds. Nevertheless, Jupiter is a galactic gambler and Uranus is a planet of progress. During their tenure in Taurus in the first half of 2024, new markets will rebuild slowly and steadily within safe zones and modest speed limits of what's known and familiar. A similar historical example is the dot-com crash of March 2000. That was another apocalyptic moment in that year of the dragon, which arrived right after Jupiter settled into Taurus on February 15th of that year. As a 5-year tech bubble burst, the NASDAQ plummeted, wiping out the net worth of stock option millionaires and costing investors an estimated $5 trillion in losses. But did the internet go away? Hardly. Although Uranus was not party to this boom-bust cycle, the regulating impact of Jupiter and Taurus slowed down the runaway train. A gold rush gradually became a lasting institution that's indispensable to our daily lives, aka the internet. We expect a similar metamorphosis to affect markets such as AI, crypto, and fintech as Jupiter and Uranus move through Taurus this year. We just saw in the news that crypto coins like Dogecoin and Cardano are starting to make a comeback. Bitcoin's on the rise, so try not to freak out. Like, that's what happens is people freak out and then they just lock down, and then the people who have money and keep things flowing don't spend it, and everything starts to go down. I'm not telling you to go wildly spend, but just, take that as you will. That there's a lot of news out there that has been creating fear around money, and it's just very interesting to watch cycles repeat themselves. I happen to be working in the me and Ophi were actually had some really good stories from the .com days. We're computer nerds, astrology and database programming and computing kind of go hand in hand, because it's like if you have the kind of brain that likes to divide things into categories and puzzles, which many engineers do, you have a good brain for astrology, because it is about seeing patterns, and then you repeat it 12 times and you see this happened that many years ago. And so, but we worked at, God, I worked at a really cool .com called boo.com. BOO, and they were in a Swedish company, and I got to do some consulting for them on content. They flew me to London, and yeah, they went under because unfortunately there were all these great ideas in 2000, but the people were still using dial-up modems. We didn't have Fios. We didn't have fast enough internet to allow people to actually, use that. But they had like 3D modeling, shopping, and that was like no one else was doing that then, like where you could see the clothes and different views. It was just not, it was just like flat images before that. They were cool. And then we worked at one called Urban Box Office, started by George Jackson, who was a movie producer and director of some cool, like really legendary urban films like Crush Groove. And he hired us to put together a women's site, a women's community site, which we called Womanhood. And we had all these, hired a bunch of our friends to work on it. And it was just like, it was, unfortunately, George Jackson died suddenly of a heart attack. He was an amazing Aquarius, and like Stevie Wonder played at his funeral. We were at his funeral. It was like all of a sudden Stevie Wonder's on the piano. Um, so talk about a legend. But after that, unfortunately, it was just a lot of that was quite a time. There was like I could write a book about it. There was like a launch party every night of the week. It was like to the point, we were in New York City, and it was like, oh my God, another party with an open bar. Oh my God, I think I'm going to go home and go to sleep. Like you actually got sick of going and hearing, the same Biggie song. But it was it was a good time. It was a good time. J-Lo and he who shall not be named right now because of all, but I will say Puffy. I only say it once right now because he is just making the wrong kind of headlines right now. But they came in to the office, or like always celebs coming through, and it was just one of those surreal chapters of our lives. So it was just this like gilded age and this crash. Um, and I don't know why I'm just going on a little reminiscence. I think it's fun to tell those stories because I can't even believe they happened. There are just these like little periods of time in my life and Ophi's life where we just had these completely one of a kind experiences, but made a lot of great friends there who we have to this day. And there was so much creativity at UBO, and a lot of people went on to do other big things and are still out there doing cool things. So maybe we'll have that, maybe we'll see that happening with AI. The AI phobia is just kind of an age of Aquarius shift. We've been using, every time you say, hey Siri, you're using AI. Every time you type into a search bar, you're using AI. It's just, the internet was once AI. So while it does come with some scary, you know, sci-fi apocalyptic possibilities, we'll see. We'll just have to wait and see. Speaking of Aquarius, Marianne Williamson has an Aquarius North Node. It's at a late, so I think that she is going to be someone who has a stronger impact than people are giving her credit for. Again, this is not coming from any sort of affiliation. It's just what I see happening in the stars, that the disruption there and the calling to be a leader in the age of Aquarius is really in her. Her Leo South node to that Aquarius North node is her time. Oh, Siri just said on it to me. Okay. Why? I don't know. Okay, well, that is this week in the stars. Siri, I'm not talking to you. So that is this week in the stars. It's Pisces, Pisces, Pisces. If you really want to know, Venus in Pisces on Monday, the Sun and Neptune in Pisces on Sunday, kind of making mayhem with Saturn sitting there clucking and folding and crossing its arms, but not able to bring everybody back down to earth, at least not this week. So go ahead and float off on your cloud, Imagineer, go on a vision quest, take a break from too much hardcore reality, but keep one eye open, one foot on solid ground, and see what you come up with. This could be an amazing week for just art, music, and all sorts of psychedelic, expansive 5D thought. See you next week.
As always, thanks for listening. You can discover more of your star power at astrocell.com and be sure to follow us on social at AstroTwins. Join us next time for more cosmic fun.